off the record. Any politician can be recorded advertently or inadvertently at any time, and the smallest unintended comment, whether it was Obama, who said something at a fundraiser that was picked up by a blogger, or whether it was Prime Minister Brown, who talked about that bigoted woman in the car with the open mic on the way back. A CEO said to me a few years ago, well, the biggest speech, he said, I prepare for all these big speeches, but the truth of the matter is that a speech that I gave to Scandinavian high school students was the biggest, got the more publicity than anything else that I gave, because of the power of communications has changed. But that means also, when you add it all up, new movements are possible in ways that have not been true for decades, if not centuries. One of the more powerful findings of the Hill polls that I just conducted among swing districts, 54% said they think American politics would be better off with another party. When you think about it, and my book Microtrends underscores it, politics is one of the few things left with only two flavors. There are 155 different varieties of coffee at Starbucks. There is not a single, whether it's in the movies, whether it's in cars, there is not a single choice that people have anymore that has only two choices. And I think you're going to see that unless the parties respond in new ways, that duality is going to be under increasing pressure. So, in reality, let me just wrap up on the time that Karen and I have, a small time, and then we're going to take questions with a panel. Obviously, it's up to you all to put small things in perspective. Our politics can't be about small, unintended comments. They have to be about the big, intended policies that political figures and government enact. We cannot let prurient or extreme interest in the unusual overcome the need to keep the focus on the big issues, whether it's the deficit, whether it's healthcare, whether it's jobs. We will not be doing politics a service unless we bring it back to whether those small things are important or not, to how they impact on the big issues. Help the candidates. A recent study that our firm did showed that Republicans, by and large, are making much better use of social media than most Democrats, and that most of the top followed candidates or office holders were in fact Republican. A lot of candidates need help not only from the bloc, but they need help on how to use social media. There's a tremendous role in politics for people who are going to help the candidates who I think are using the medium extremely unevenly. And finally, a not unusual request from me is that I would hope that more and more bloggers would reach out and identify the center. Between the left and the right, most people in this country still identify themselves as moderates. They decide virtually every election. It's their dissatisfaction that actually shifts things, not the dissatisfaction of those on the left and the right. And yet, we still see, despite this enormous demand for more and more information about the center, for more and more rejection of the extremes, not yet the kind of information flow in the center that we see has developed on the left or the right. So with that, let me thank you for these overview remarks, turn it over to my colleague.